Alright, here we have another Wise Choice Systems build. It is in an Antec 1200 case, and this we're going to get into a little bit more detail. Now, the first thing you'll notice when you look at the Antec 1200 is the three 120mm fans at the front here with the blue LEDs. Now, you will also notice that they have the fan controllers just on the actual front bezel here. Now, these are actually quite strong for the stock fans. I was quite impressed with how much airflow these guys do actually pump through the case. So for stock standard fans, they are quite good. Now, the reason that they have the actual fan control on the front bezel here is due to the fact that these panels come out in threes, so every 3 bays they actually just slide out and the fan's mounted in there and everything like that. So it would be quite hard to obviously have all your fan controls on an actual controller, which generally I prefer. Now, in this one here, you will also notice that there is in fact only a DVD-RW, but on the top here you have your reset and your power. Turn that down so that LED's out of the way, and then you've got your 2 USBs, USB 3, your headphone and your mic jack. Now, another thing that disappointed me here is there is actually no headphone or mic symbol, which, you know, is something pretty simple. I would have liked to see one scribed there or something like that, but yeah, and then obviously there's your HDD LED. Now, I'll go back to holding it like that. As you can see, that was another thing that got me, was the way that LED is actually shining. If you're right on the front of the case, it does actually get in your eyes and it is quite annoying. Now, you can actually turn that off, and what we'll do is we're just going to turn the case to the side. Now, bear with me for a sec as I am actually holding the camera and that side panel is actually loose. Okay, so now here is your actual controllers. So now this will control these 2 fans just here. So you can turn them up to, now I don't actually like these switches, but sorry, I don't have nails, so it's kind of hard, as you can see, when they work. But yeah, so anyway, so you can switch them to high or low or whatever, and you can turn that on and off. That's the top one, so you can turn that high, low. Now, that's another thing, there isn't actually a great deal of air that comes through the top fan, which was another thing that disappointed me, because all the other fans in the case seem to be quite powerful, and this one here is more kind of just there because it can be there. So that was a tad disappointing. You do have obviously your water cooling option and everything like that, but yeah, these rear fans were also quite impressive. On high, like even on low, you can feel the air, but on high, generally you can stand back and really feel it as it pushes the air through the case. So there is a nice amount of airflow through the case, which is good. Now, you'll also notice that on the side panel, apart from obviously, you know, you've got a large window so you can see fully into the case. So you can get a bit of, yeah, so it's not too bad. You can also fit a side panel fan just on the bezel there. Now, the thing is, I don't normally obviously install side case fans because I don't like the actual cabling going through, and the only time you'd really need that is if you had a CPU cooler that was facing outwards. Otherwise, generally, there's no real necessity to have one. Now, we'll take this side panel off and we'll get into the case. Now, there were a few things that disappointed me in the case. One was the cable management, just up here. I didn't like having the cable come down here. Like, as you can see, it's pretty much designed to almost, whoops, run down the side here, which is kind of disappointing because it's it does say that it's cable managed, but yeah, it's kind of poor. So I would have liked to have seen this hole sort of up around here somewhere so you could drop it straight out, or even down the side of the optical drives over there. Would have been much better. Now, apart from that, it's not too bad. I mean, another thing was you mount your SSD on the bottom of the case. I would have preferred to have had that in a bay, so that you could have kind of neatened up this wiring a little bit more by having it there, sort of it runs through. But yeah, anyway, next thing is the PSU is actually just sitting in there. I have got it sitting in there like this for now because I'm waiting on an extension so that I can actually rotate. The way this case is designed is to have the CPU, the PSU fan face upwards. Now, normally I would prefer to have it facing down, but because there is no ventilation in the bottom, there's no filtering, there's no holes, there is nowhere for air to sort of come or go, it is designed to face up, which is kind of disappointing. But yeah, you kind of get that. Now onto the build. The first thing you'll notice when you look in the side of the case is you'll actually see the CPU cooler, which is the Noktua Hdd 14. This is quite a powerful air cooler. It does pump quite a fair bit of air, as you'll see, because there is 2 fans which obviously push through, and then you've got your exhaust. Now the next thing is it's running an Intel Core i5 2500K 3.3 GHz overclocked to 4.5 GHz with a when we put it under load, we were running Battlefields, Skyrim and World of Warcraft all at the same time. We only got it to peak temperature of 67, so it's quite cool in that case. Now it is also running G-Skill Ripjaws DDR3 RAM. It's 8 gig in there. It's running a Gigabyte Z68 XP UD4 motherboard and an XFX Radeon HD 6970 graphics card, which is just down here. So it does fit the larger graphics cards in there. And down there you'll also notice is the Asus Xonar sound card. It's a 60 gig OCZ SSD, and then we've got the 3 1TB SATA drives. You can also fit another fan in here. As I generally don't believe in putting the fans in the back of bays, but it's much of a preference. You can put it there if you want. There was also no need in this case because, well, the amount of air that the Noktua pulls through, it's not necessary. So guys, that's the build. I will show you one more thing. Sorry, these screws here, they're just thumb screws, so you can kind of easily undo those. You undo four on each section, so it's 1 section, 2 sections, 3 sections, and on the other side, and those bays will just slide straight out the front. But yeah, so guys, that's the build. As usual, if you have any questions, feel free to ask.